Hey there, this is Akshandadan and welcome back to part 3 of complete wallpaper app using Flutter in Pexels API. Sorry, using Pexels API in Flutter, right? So now first of all we have to write a function that is fetch your API, right? So in the class of stateful widget of the wallpaper.dart, you have to define a fetch API function, right? So as you know that we are fetching something from the internet, that will take some time, so we have to make this function as an async function, right? Now we are going to use the http dependency that we had added in the pubspec.yaml, right? So first of all we have to go on that API, and yes, so this is the GitHub repository that I've made, and I've given the link in the description. You can check this repository, right? Okay, so now yes, in this API, in the documentation of the API, you have to go on the curated images and you will get this thing, right? So this is the part of the API where you will get real-time images, right? The after every 1 hour they are going to update the images, so you are going to get different wallpapers whenever you will open the app at the time interval of 1 hour, right? So new images will get added. So you have to if you are just making a general app, you can copy this curated photos yeah, this http address, right? So you have to copy this address, and as you can see there are some parameters, so you can provide these parameters like per image, per page, how many images you want to load in one page, like this, and the page number, at which page number. So yeah, I hope you have understood, right? Page number you can define. So at page number 2 different images will be there, at page number 3 different images will be there. So as you can see, the maximum per page images count that can be possible is 80. So at one page you can define 80 images. That's why we are defining the load more button. So after clicking on the load more button, more 80 images will be loaded. And in the response what I'm getting the current page number, then per page, then photos, the list of the photos will be there, and the next page URL. So I'm going to use this next page URL whenever I'm clicking on the load more button. So for now just say copy this http address and come on your Visual Studio and write the code await http dot get, and you have to import your http. So import http slash http.dart as http, right? If you will not write this as http, you won't be able to use this http, right? So now await http. So now write await http.get uri.parse. So we have to parse that string in URI format. So uri.parse, and in the quotes you have to paste that URI. So the thing that we had copied, Control C, then come over here, paste it, and your this thing is ready. Now put a question mark, and we have to provide the parameter, right? So I'm going to provide the per page parameter, because by default per page 15 images will be loaded, but I want to load 80 images. So in this, per page will be 80, right? Now everything is ready and we will get some result, right? Now we have to provide the API key. So after this you have to provide the headers. So this API uses some headers, so that headers we are going to use, and in this headers you have to define the authorization. This headers provide the authorization. Now copy that API key. So my API key is this. So paste it. Now your API key is pasted. Now you are going to get some result. So after this, write then value. So come over here. And one thing we are doing wrong, that is we are putting the headers in quotes. We don't have to put it in quotes, right? Now everything is ready. So as you can see, our fetch API function is ready. Now we will get the list. So the dot then value. Now let's just print the value. So let's see what we get from the API. So print the value, right? Put a semicolon. Now let's save it and let's see our mobile, and let's rerun this app, right? Now we are not getting anything. Why? Because we have not called this function. So what we have to do in this class, define an initState. So initState defines that what you want to do whenever your app will be loaded, right? So that's the first thing, that's the first function that runs when your app gets loaded. So just define this function, fetch API. Okay, we are doing one more error, that is we are defining everything in this class, but we don't have to define it over here. Just cut this and we have to define it in this state class. Paste it. Now everything is ready, right? So if you have any errors, you are missing something, you can check the GitHub repository. So you have to define this initState function, define the fetch API function, and write the function code over here. Now let's see our mobile and let's rerun this app, refresh this app. Now we can see the console and we can see some output. So as you can see, we are getting instance of a response, right? So we have to see the body of this response. So what we will do, instead of printing this value, we will print value dot body. Let's refresh it. And we can see some JSON format data is there, right? So as you can see, it is a dictionary, it is a map. So what we have to do, we have to use a map and we can name this map as result. So this is a result and we have to decode this data in JSON. So JSON decode and you have to write value dot body, right? So now your data will be decoded in the JSON format. Now instead of printing this value dot body, print result, right? Let's save it. Let's refresh it. And now our data is decoded in the JSON format. Now this is perfect, right? Now you can call anything, right? Let's say I want to, in this index, I want to see the ID. So as you can see, inside this also, inside this map, we are getting a list. So first thing that we are getting three parameters, that is page number. Then we are getting how many images are there in per page, then a photos list. So I want to see this list because I am interested in this list, because this list is containing the data of each and every image. It is containing the photographer URL, it is containing the URL of my image. So I want to see this list, right? So what I will do, instead of printing this result, I'm going to define a list of images over here. So list images, and I'm going to define it over here, right? So let's set state, let's define a set state function, and this images will be result at photos, right? So we can call this list using the JSON data, and I am seeing that this list is provided by the key value of photos. So now I can save it, and after setting the state, I can print the images. So that list will be printed now. Let's save it and let's refresh it. Okay, I did a mistake. Instead of defining the photos, I just defined the images. So you have to save it, and now we can refresh it. Now I can see that list of images is there, right? Now if I want to print the length of this images list, I can see that it will be 80. Why? Because per page 80 images will be loaded. So print the length of this images list. I can see that 80 images are there. Perfect. Now let's print the images only, and let's try to go deeper inside this list. So I can see that for every list item, again I'm getting a dictionary, and in this dictionary I am getting the ID, then width of the image, height of the image, then URL of the image, right? And information about the photographer I am getting. So let's try to get the first image, right? So for first image, that will be at index 0. So define index 0 and let's see. So this is the data for the first image. So everything I'm getting, right? Now I think this much is enough for this video. I've fetched the API, we have got the data. Now in the next part, we are going to insert this data into our grid view, right? So till the next content, keep coding, keep innovating, and thanks a lot.